First contact. Final warning. Commander Elena Reyes stood before the massive view screen in Earth Defense Coalition headquarters, her dark eyes fixed on the image that had kept the entire command staff awake for 3 days straight. The holographic display showed what could only be described as an armada. Dozens of massive vessels with sleek, crystalline hulls that reflected the stars around them, making them look like moving constellations. "How long until they reach our solar system?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tension tightening her shoulders. Lieutenant Marcus Chen checked the data stream flowing across his terminal. 18 hours, Commander. They've maintained consistent speed since we detected them passing Neptune's orbit. Elena nodded, running a hand through her short black hair. 6 years as commander of Earth's Unified Defense Forces had prepared her for many scenarios, but first contact with an obviously advanced alien civilization wasn't one of them, especially not when that civilization arrived with what was clearly a war fleet. "Any response to our hails?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "None, Commander," Communications Officer Patel replied. "We've tried all frequencies, all known mathematical sequences, even basic binary patterns. They're receiving our signals, we can confirm that much, but they're choosing not to respond." The command center fell silent as the implications settled over everyone. Humanity had achieved remarkable progress in the past 50 years. Unified global governance, expansion throughout the solar system, the development of practical, faster-than-light communication. But actual FTL travel remained theoretical. These visitors, whoever they were, possessed technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. "Commander Reyes," the familiar voice of President Okonkwo came from behind her. The leader of the Earth Coalition strode into the command center, flanked by her security detail. "I need options, not observations." Elena turned to face the president. "Madam President, I recommend we continue attempts at communication while positioning all defensive assets. The Mars and lunar bases are already at full alert, and we've recalled all deep space exploratory vessels." The president nodded grimly. "And if they prove hostile?" Elena didn't sugarcoat it. "Our entire fleet combined wouldn't stand a chance against a single one of their larger vessels, based on our energy readings and mass calculations." Before the president could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. "Commander," Lieutenant Chen called out, his voice tight with urgency. "They've accelerated dramatically. New ETA to Earth orbit. 30 minutes. The command center erupted into controlled chaos as officers rushed to stations. Elena turned back to the view screen, watching as the alien fleet surged forward at impossible speeds. "Full planetary defense protocol. Now," she ordered, her voice cutting through the noise. Exactly 28 minutes later, the alien fleet arrived, positioning itself in a perfect geometric formation above Earth. The largest vessel, a massive structure nearly 5 kilometers long, took position directly over EDC headquarters in Geneva. "They're broadcasting," Officer Patel announced suddenly. It's in perfect English." "On screen," Elena ordered. The view screen shifted to reveal a humanoid figure with iridescent, silver skin that seemed to shimmer like liquid metal. Its eyes were large, entirely black, and set in a face that appeared almost sculpted with features too perfect to be natural. "People of Earth," the being spoke, its voice melodious yet somehow mechanical. "I am Supreme Commander Elzar of the Sylvani Empire. Your planet has been catalogued and claimed as per Imperial Directive 7293. You will surrender all planetary resources and submit to Imperial governance immediately." President Okonkwo stepped forward. "This is President Amara Okonkwo of the Earth Coalition. We welcome peaceful contact with other civilizations, but we do not recognize your claim to our world. Earth is not available for claiming." The aliens. Expression didn't change, but its tone hardened slightly. "Your recognition is not required, President Okonkwo. The Sylvani Empire has conquered 342 worlds across 17 star systems. Resistance has proved futile in all previous cases." Elena watched carefully, noting how the being seemed to emphasize the number of conquests, AO, clear intimidation tactic. "We wish to avoid unnecessary loss of life," the alien continued. Your technological development is impressive for a singular system species, but you cannot oppose Imperial forces. You have 24 Earth hours to signal your surrender and prepare for resource evaluation teams. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Well, President Okonkwo said after a moment, it seems we've been given our first extraterrestrial ultimatum. Dr. Sophia Novak hadn't slept in 36 hours, but adrenaline and 6 cups of synthetic coffee kept her alert as she analyzed the sensor data streaming in from Earth's defense satellites. As the head of xenotechnology research at the Global Science Academy, she had been immediately summoned when the alien fleet was first detected. "This is impossible," she muttered, adjusting her glasses as she studied the energy readings from the alien vessels. "What have you found?" Commander Reyes asked, entering the lab with President Okonkwo. Sophia straightened, gesturing to the holographic models rotating above her workstation. "Their technology is unlike anything we've theorized. Their hulls are composed of some crystalline material that's both incredibly strong and apparently serves as an energy conduit. But the most fascinating aspect is their propulsion system." She expanded one section of the model, highlighting the engine sections of the alien ships. "They're using some form of quantum displacement drive, essentially folding space around their vessels rather than moving through it conventionally. That explains their sudden acceleration," Elena said. "Yes, but here's where it gets interesting." Sophia pulled up another data set. "These energy signatures we're detecting? They suggest the Sylvani are powering everything: weapons, shields, propulsion, through a centralized quantum field generator. It's brilliant engineering, but what?" President Okonkwo pressed. A small smile touched Sophia's lips. "But it means all their systems are fundamentally interconnected. If we can disrupt that quantum field with a precisely calibrated counter-resonance, we could potentially disable their entire fleet simultaneously." Elena leaned forward, studying the schematics. "You're saying we could shut down their ships?" "Theoretically, yes," Sophia confirmed. "The quantum field they're generating operates on specific harmonic frequencies. If we can generate an opposing field that cancels those frequencies, their systems would crash," Elena finished. "How quickly can you develop this counter-resonance device?" Sophia hesitated. "With the entire scientific community working around the clock? Perhaps 20 hours. But there's a catch. We'd need to deploy it from inside their quantum field perimeter." "Inside their fleet's defensive formation," Elena translated grimly. "Precisely. The device would need to be within their quantum envelope to create the proper interference pattern." President Okonkwo frowned. "You're suggesting a suicide mission?" "Not necessarily," Elena said slowly, an idea forming. "They've demanded our surrender in 24 hours. They'll expect a formal delegation to deliver our response." Understanding dawned on the president's face. "A Trojan horse." Elena nodded. "Dr. Novak, begin work on your device immediately. Coordinate with all available scientists globally. I'll prepare a diplomatic team." As they left the lab, President Okonkwo placed a hand on Elena's arm. "You intend to lead this mission yourself?" It wasn't a question, but Elena answered anyway. "Yes, Madam President. As the highest-ranking military officer, my presence would be expected in a formal surrender delegation." President Okonkwo studied her for a long moment. "This could be the most important mission in human history, Commander. Assemble your team carefully." The next 20 hours passed in a blur of activity, while Dr. Novak and her team worked tirelessly. On the counter-resonance device, Elena selected her team: Lieutenant Chen for his technical expertise, Major Diaz for security, and Dr. Harrison Wells, Earth's leading xenolinguist. They gathered in the briefing room 6 hours before the Sylvani deadline. "The device is ready," Sophia announced, placing a metallic sphere about the size of a basketball on the conference table. Its surface was etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. "How does it work?" Major Diaz asked, eyeing the sphere warily. "Once activated, it will generate a field that expands at the speed of light, creating a destructive interference pattern with the Sylvani quantum field. Their system should immediately lose coherence." And they won't detect it beforehand? Elena asked. Sophia shook her head. The device is completely passive until activated. To their sensors, it should appear as nothing more than a ceremonial object. What about after it's activated? Lieutenant Chen asked. How long will their systems remain disabled? That's the best part, Sophia smiled. The quantum disruption should permanently damage their field generators. They'll retain basic life support, but weapons, shields, and propulsion will be irreparably compromised. Elena nodded, satisfied. Then we have our plan. We board their command ship under the pretense of surrender negotiations. Once we're inside, we activate the device. And then? Dr. Wells asked quietly. Elena's expression hardened. And then we inform the Silvani Empire that Earth is not available for conquest. Now or ever, the diplomatic shuttle ascended through Earth's atmosphere, carrying Elena and her team toward the massive Silvani flagship hovering in orbit. Through the viewport, Elena could see the crystalline behemoth growing larger, its surface reflecting Earth's blue and green landscape like a fractured mirror. Approaching Silvani flagship, Lieutenant Chen announced from the pilot's seat. They're transmitting docking instructions. Elena nodded, adjusting her formal uniform. The counter-resonance device was secured in a ceremonial case, disguised as an Earth artifact being presented to the Silvani as part of the surrender ceremony. Remember, she told her team quietly, we need to get as deep into their ship as possible before activating the device. The closer we are to their central systems, the more effective the disruption will be. Silvani Control is hailing us, Chen reported. Put them through. A metallic voice filled the shuttle. Earth diplomatic vessel, you will dock in Bay 17. Proceed directly to the Imperial Audience Chamber. Deviation from this path will be considered hostile action. Understood, Silvani Control, Elena replied. We come in peace, bearing Earth's formal response to your directive. The shuttle glided into an enormous docking bay, settling gently onto the crystalline floor. Through the viewports, Elena could see dozens of Silvani moving with precise, almost mechanical movements. Ready? She asked her team. They nodded, expressions determined. Then let's go make history. Elena rose, lifting the ceremonial case containing humanity's one hope against an overwhelming alien force. One way or another, the shuttle door opened, and Commander Elena Reyes stepped forward to face the might of an interstellar empire, carrying Earth's defiance disguised as surrender. The tables turn. The Imperial Audience Chamber of the Silvani flagship was a vast, cathedral-like space with soaring crystalline arches that pulsed with soft blue light. 2 rows of silver-skinned Silvani stood at rigid attention, their black eyes following the human delegation with calculating intensity. Commander Elena Reyes walked with measured steps down the center aisle, the ceremonial case containing Earth's counter-resonance device held firmly in her hands. Lieutenant Chen, Major Diaz, and Dr. Wells followed closely behind, their expressions carefully neutral despite the alien grandeur surrounding them. At the far end of the chamber sat a massive crystalline throne upon a raised dais. The being seated upon it was clearly Silvani, but different from the others, taller, with skin that shimmered with iridescent patterns and eyes that held swirling galaxies of light. Emperor Viridian, announced a Silvani official in that same musical yet mechanical voice they had heard in transmissions. Supreme ruler of the Silvani Empire, conqueror of the 17 systems, master of the quantum dominion, before you stand representatives of Earth, bearing their surrender. Elena kept her face impassive as she approached the throne, mentally, gauging distances and analyzing the chamber's layout. They needed to get closer to what Dr. Novak had identified as the likely location of the ship's central quantum field generator, approximately 50 meters behind the throne room through what appeared to be a secured corridor. Emperor Viridian studied the human delegation with an air of detached curiosity. So these are the Earth beings, he said, his voice deeper and more resonant than the other Silvani. Bipedal, carbon-based, with primitive technology. Yet you have achieved unified planetary governance, unusual for species at your development stage. Elena bowed slightly, protocol they had hastily established based on Dr. Wells's analysis of alien hierarchical communication patterns. Emperor Viridian, I am Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Coalition. I bring greetings from President Okonkwo and all peoples of Earth. The Emperor made a dismissive gesture. Formalities are unnecessary. Your delegation is here to present Earth's surrender and receive Imperial directives for resource extraction and population management. Indeed, Elena replied carefully. However, our customs dictate that such significant transitions of authority must be accompanied by ceremonial exchanges. She lifted the case slightly. We have brought a symbolic artifact representing Earth's place in the cosmos, which we wish to present before formalizing our response. Emperor Viridian tilted his head slightly, the equivalent of a Sylvani shrug. Your primitive customs are irrelevant to the Empire, but if this will expedite the transition process, proceed. Elena nodded to Lieutenant Chen, who stepped forward and opened the case. Inside, nestled in velvet, sat the counter-resonance device, its metallic surface gleaming under the chamber's blue light. This sphere, Elena explained, lifting it from the case, represents humanity's understanding of universal harmony and balance. Our scientists have encoded mathematical constants and planetary coordinates into its structure, all true in a way. Dr. Novak had indeed incorporated Earth's astronomical coordinates into the device's calibration. As she spoke, Elena took 2 steps closer to the throne. In our tradition, such gifts are presented directly to new leadership. Another carefully calculated step forward. May I approach? A murmur ran through the assembled Sylvani officials. Commander Elzar, who stood at the Emperor's right hand, leaned down to whisper something, but Emperor Viridian raised a 6-fingered hand to silence him. Your species intrigues me, the Emperor said. You face inevitable subjugation, yet maintain adherence to symbolic rituals. Approach, Commander Reyes. Elena ascended the dais steps slowly, the device held before her. She could feel Major Diaz tensing behind her, ready to move if needed. Emperor, she said, now standing just 3 meters from the crystalline throne. Before I present our gift, might I inquire about one aspect of your remarkable technology? Our scientists have observed the quantum field your vessels generate. It's unlike anything we've theorized. A flash of what might have been pride crossed the Emperor's perfect features. The quantum dominion is the foundation of Sylvani superiority. Your species is millennia from comprehending its principles. Perhaps, Elena acknowledged. Though, we've made our own modest advances in quantum physics. She gestured with the sphere. This artifact actually incorporates some rudimentary quantum principles in its design. The Emperor leaned forward slightly, curiosity overcoming imperial aloofness. Show me. It was the opening Elena needed. She pressed her thumb against a specific point on the sphere's intricate surface, the activation trigger disguised within the decorative etching. Nothing happened. No visible indication the device had activated. But Lieutenant Chen's barely perceptible nod told her everything she needed to know. The counter-resonance field was expanding, invisible and silent, at the speed of light throughout the flagship. What I find most fascinating about quantum fields, Elena continued conversationally, giving the device the seconds it needed to fully deploy, is how interconnected they make everything. One small disruption can have cascading effects throughout an entire system. As if on cue, the blue pulsing light throughout the chamber flickered, then again, longer this time. Emperor Viridian straightened, alarm crossing his perfect features. What is happening? He demanded, turning to Commander Elzar. The chamber lights dimmed completely before coming back at half brightness, emergency systems activating. Throughout the room, consoles that had been silently monitoring ship systems began flashing with warning indicators. Imperial Majesty, Elzar reported, his voice losing its melodious quality as he checked a wrist device. We are experiencing a cascading quantum field collapse across all systems. Weapons, shields, and propulsion are non-responsive. Impossible, the Emperor snarled, rising from his throne. He turned furious black eyes on Elena. What have you done? Elena set the sphere down on the step before the throne and straightened, to her full height. What you're experiencing, Emperor Viridian, is a precisely calibrated counter-resonance field interacting with your quantum dominion. It's creating a destructive interference pattern that's collapsing your field generators. Chaos erupted in the chamber as Sylvani officials rushed to terminals, barking orders in their native language. Major Diaz and Lieutenant Chen moved to flank Elena, while Dr. Wells stepped back to observe the Sylvani language patterns being used in crisis. "Disable their device," the Emperor commanded. "It cannot be disabled," Elena stated calmly. "The process is already complete. Your quantum field generators have been permanently compromised." A Sylvani officer rushed into the chamber. "Emperor, all vessels in the fleet are reporting identical system failures. We've lost quantum coherence fleet-wide." For the first time, fear crossed the Emperor's perfect features. "This is not possible. Your species does not possess this level of technology." "You might be surprised what a species can accomplish when faced with extinction," Elena replied. "We've been monitoring your fleet. Your life support systems remain functional, as do basic power and communications. You're not in danger. You simply no longer have the capacity to threaten us." The Emperor sank back onto his throne, visibly stunned. 342 worlds, and none have resisted successfully. Elena picked up the sphere again, handling it carefully. "Perhaps they didn't have the warning we did, or perhaps they simply chose a different path. Earth will not surrender, Emperor Viridian. Not today, not ever." The command center at EDC headquarters erupted in cheers as Lieutenant Chen's encoded transmission reached Earth. "Quantum disruption successful. Sylvani fleet neutralized." President Okonkwo allowed herself a brief smile before raising her hands for silence. "The mission isn't complete until our people are safely home. Let's maintain focus." Dr. Novak approached, still monitoring data streams from Earth's sensor network. "Madam President, the quantum disruption field has stabilized. All Sylvani vessels show reduced energy signatures consistent with our projections. They've lost weapons, shields, and propulsion capabilities." "And the disruption is permanent?" "Yes," Sophia confirmed. "Their quantum field generators have been irreparably damaged at the subatomic level. They can't be repaired or restarted." The President nodded, relief visible in her eyes. "Now we wait for Commander Reyes to complete the diplomatic phase of the operation." Back aboard the Sylvani flagship, an uneasy silence had fallen over the Imperial audience chamber. Elena stood firmly before the throne, the counter-resonance device secured once more in its case. "What are your terms?" Emperor Viridian finally asked, his voice lacking its former resonant power. "First, the immediate withdrawal of all claims to Earth and its solar system," Elena stated. "Second, your complete technological database will be transferred to Earth's scientific community." The Emperor's black eyes narrowed. "You demand our knowledge after crippling our fleet?" "Your fleet remains functional for life support and communication," Elena pointed out. "We could have destroyed it entirely. Instead, we chose a path that spared Sylvani lives while protecting our sovereignty." "And how do you propose we leave your system without propulsion?" Commander Elzar demanded. "Earth will provide conventional propulsion units sufficient to return you to your home system," Elena explained. "Which brings me to our third condition. The Sylvani Empire will cease all expansionist activities in this sector of the galaxy." "Emperor," Viridian laughed, a strange crystalline sound. "You overreach, Commander. One tactical victory does not give your single planet authority over an empire spanning 17 systems." Elena smiled slightly. "Perhaps not. But it does give us the ability to share our counter-resonance technology with other worlds the Sylvanis might threaten in the future." She gestured to Dr. Wells, who stepped forward with a data pad. "We've taken the liberty of drafting a non-aggression treaty that includes provisions for peaceful contact between Earth and the Sylvani Empire going forward." The Emperor stared at the offered data pad for a long moment before finally taking it. "You are either the bravest or most foolish species we have encountered." "We're simply protective of our home," Elena replied. And we believe that advanced civilizations should help other species develop, not conquer them. As the Emperor reviewed the treaty terms, Elena received a coded message from Earth on her communicator. Defensive grid established. Diplomatic. Solution authorized. She nodded slightly to Lieutenant Chen. Backup had arrived. Earth's entire defense fleet was now positioned strategically around the disabled Sylvani vessels. Your proposal includes establishing an interspecies council, Emperor Viridian noted, looking up from the datapad. Yes, Elena confirmed. Earth proposes a new paradigm for this sector of the galaxy, cooperation rather than conquest. And if we refuse? Then you remain here powerless while Earth develops additional countermeasures against quantum technology, Elena stated matter-of-factly. But I don't believe it will come to that. The Sylvani are clearly an intelligent species. Adaptation is the cornerstone of intelligence. Emperor Viridian was silent for several minutes, his eyes moving between the treaty document and Elena's. Resolute expression. You have disabled our fleet, demanded our technology, and now propose to restructure our empire's entire operational paradigm, he summarized. We've offered you a path forward that doesn't involve defeat, Elena corrected. A new beginning for both our species. Finally, the Emperor rose from his throne. In 3,000 years of Sylvani expansion, no species has successfully resisted imperial integration. A pause. Until now. Perhaps there is wisdom in reconsidering our approach. He placed his six-fingered hand on the datapad, leaving a glowing imprint that sealed the treaty. The Sylvani Empire accepts Earth's terms, Commander Reyes. We will withdraw, share our technological database, and participate in your proposed interspecies council. Relief washed through Elena, though she maintained her composed expression. A wise decision, Emperor Viridian. Earth looks forward to peaceful cooperation with the Sylvani. 3 days later, Commander Elena Reyes stood in the United Nations Assembly Hall in New York, addressing representatives from every nation on Earth. The retrofitted Sylvani vessels will begin their journey home tomorrow, she reported. Their scientific delegation will remain on Earth to assist with technological exchange and to participate in the formation of the Interspecies Council. President Okonkwo took the podium next. What Commander Reyes and her team have achieved cannot be overstated. Not only have they secured Earth's immediate safety, but they have fundamentally altered humanity's place in the galactic community. She gestured to a holographic display showing the first images transmitted from deep space probes, equipped with modified Sylvani technology, images of distant star systems now within humanity's reach. With the quantum technology we've gained, humanity will no longer be confined to our solar system. Within 2 years, our first interstellar vessels will launch. Within 5, we will establish colonies on habitable worlds already identified in neighboring systems. The assembly erupted in applause. Later, in a quiet moment on the observation deck of Earth Defense Coalition headquarters, Elena gazed up at the night sky. The stars no longer represented distant, unreachable points of light, but destinations, future homes for humanity. Dr. Novak joined her, offering a steaming cup of coffee. Have you seen the latest designs for the first colony ship? They're calling it the Reyes. Elena smiled, shaking her head. I was just doing my job. Your job changed the course of human history, Sophia pointed out. The Sylvani database contains information on over 50 spacefaring species in our galaxy alone. We're already receiving signals from 3 of them, interested in diplomatic contact. And the Interspecies Council? 6 species have already confirmed participation. The Sylvani are actually proving to be helpful. Apparently, several worlds under their protection are eager for more equitable arrangements. Elena took a sip of coffee, considering the implications. So, we've gone from facing extinction to establishing galactic diplomacy in less than a week. Humanity has always been adaptable, Sophia replied with a smile. Now we have a galaxy to prove it in. Above them, a shooting star, actually a Sylvani shuttle on a new, Earth-provided propulsion system, traced a path across the night sky. Earth had faced its first interstellar challenge and emerged not just victorious but transformed. The age of Earth isolation was over. The era of human expansion among the stars had begun.